Welcome to Beyond the Prep, a podcast dedicated to providing information and insights into the bodybuilding sport. This podcast covers a wide range of topics from finding a coach to the struggling of competing, nutrition, supplements, cost, and much more. I'll be talking with competitors so you can hear their stories, judges, coaches. If you're interested in sharing your story, send me a note at scapach40@gmail.com. Welcome to Beyond the Prep. I am your host, Sherry Capach. I'd like to welcome,
Ted Finkelman,
thank you.
also known as the Hughley Wolf.
Oh, okay.
Not the most common nickname, but it works.
Okay.
Makes me easy to find.
There you go. Welcome, and thank you for coming to do this podcast.
My pleasure.
So tell me a little bit about what got you into bodybuilding.
Okay, so this is a really cliche thing, but there's an old saying that breakups make bodybuilders.
Okay.
So I went through a really bad breakup in my early 20s. I think I was just about to turn 21 before it happened.
Okay.
And so I kind of looked at myself, and I was never an in-shape kid. I was pick class or gym class. I wasn't athletic. I couldn't run, couldn't catch, couldn't throw, couldn't do anything.
Okay.
I was a nerdy computer gamer.
Okay.
And so I was sitting there one day playing World of Warcraft, Pepsi cans all around me, been shopping frozen pizza, sitting there, and my stomach's on my lap, folded over. And I remember thinking, I haven't dated in 4 years. When I was 16, I got back in the dating world, and I look hideous. So I'm going to try and lose a little bit of weight.
Okay.
And that snowballed and became basically my personality, my career, my everything. It started with at-home DVD workouts, that P90X.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, because I used to work security, so I kept seeing the infomercials. I'm I'll try that. And went from P90X to joining the gym to becoming a bodybuilder, and now I've competed at the national level now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's been a long road.
So you decided to get in shape. What got you into the bodybuilding part of?
So I moved away from my hometown for school. When I moved back, I was really into sports supplements, stuff like that. So I started working at a local GNC at the time. And one of the other guys I was working with was competing. So he kind of made a comment of, well, how about I train you for a show?
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'll give that a shot. I'll do a show. I've done 6. And so I figured I'd try it for a year and just see what happens.
Yeah.
And I completely fell in love with the sport, the people around it. I always say nowadays, everything good in my life has come because of my love of bodybuilding.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's wonderful. So what was your biggest struggle going through, say, deciding to go to compete to getting on stage? What was the hardest part for you?
Probably, it's a hard one, actually. Well, probably a lot of misconceptions, misinformation out there about trying to learn what it takes to lose weight, what it takes to, proper training form, social media standardization. And then I come from a relatively unfit and slightly obese family.
Okay.
And so they did not understand it at all. And so I'd show up to certain family dinners with my container of chicken and rice. And I love my family, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And actually was on stage with this auditorium so full of people, there wasn't enough room for people to sit pre 2020, of course.
Yeah.
I think they finally understood this wasn't just some weird, awkward niche thing. This was a huge society of people that are living and breathing this sport, and I was part of this. They finally understood it. So then I constantly had my family support, and then they kept supporting me, researching, learning, and growing. And I feel like having that support was a huge aspect of it.
Yeah, support's huge in this. So
well,
for
it's
sure.
It's really hard when your family is just confused by you.
Yeah, they don't know,
Yeah.
right? It's just the unknown, and why are you putting your body through this, and why are you doing that, and why can't you eat this? And
but it's that trend because everyone's so used to it that it's weird that we live in a society where it's stranger to be fit and eat healthy than it is to eat fast food, be lazy, not be fit. You're the weird one because you take care of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's completely and the mindset of it all, and you also your social circle changes.
100%.
Right.
Like most of the friends I'm close with now, in some way, shape, or form, we've shared the gym in a lot of levels. Yeah.
And that's who you want to surround yourself with, because
100%.
they understand.
Yes.
Right. And they're not pressuring like, well, why can't you have that drink? And why can't you eat that? Like, right. You get a lot.
I had a couple friends early on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they've sort of grown to understand, just like I am still like a bit of a nerd. And so I hang out with my friends and do nerdy things, and they'll eat their pizza, and I will have my containers, and every so often they'll make a joke about it, but then every so often they'll start like asking me questions about it, like trying to learn how to get themselves in like better shape and health and stuff like that. So it's been nice to kind of be that positive influence for people that don't know where to get started.
And you said at the beginning too that you were heavier and unfit, and as they see you transition, do you find they became more interested, like, oh my God, what have you done? Like, what are you doing? How can I get to where you're at?
Well, it's that whole thing you always see where it's like, first they'll laugh at you, then they'll watch you, and they'll ask you how you did it. And so it's a lot of that. Like, I definitely got ridiculed a little bit starting an endeavor like this, because I was not someone ever respected to become a bodybuilder. And what's really funny is I run into people I went to school with growing up. And probably the funniest one was I had my grade 6 teachers retired. And so I went to the retirement because they contacted all of us. And him I'd seen a couple times since moving back, so he knew who I was. But my grade 3 teacher was there. And she's like, oh, and how are you connected? And I looked at her and I said, I'm Ted Finkelman. And she said, no, you're not. And it took her a second to see it kind of click in her head. But I was this person because I became someone no one expected me to be. No one expected me to ever walk into a gym, let alone pursue a passion for fitness.
And seeing the results, right? Oh, that's good. Oh, that's amazing. So with that, and you just competed not too long ago?
Yeah, I competed in June at the Toronto Pro Qualifiers, my first time on the national level stage.
And how was that?
It was a pretty amazing experience, actually. My coach was pretty excited because I did get first call out. So I just missed 5th place, I think, by a little bit, because they pulled 6 of us up, and I just missed that top 5. But as far as like everyone's concerned, like my coach, I think he said he took like 16th his first time at the national level. So the fact that he's like, you got first call up your first time here, is like, that doesn't happen. So I was able to very much take that as a mark of pride. And people were like, are you disappointed? I'm like, why would I be?
Right?
Like, better luck next time. Like, what better luck? I made a mark. I did something. And so I took it as that. So now the whole point is like, take a little bit of time off, just put a little more size on me and try again in a year. So like I left, like it was great. And the best part of that was the Toronto Pro Show was the next day. So I stayed in Toronto and got a chance to see like the level I'd love to get to someday. They're pros for a reason. I'll say that much.
Right. And be able to see them, you're like, oh, okay, now I know where it gotta be.
Couple guys backstage in the pump up room, like just we're coaching. One guy's the next day coaching the guys the day before. And you feel like a 3-year-old toddler, like, hi. Nice to see you.
And because you feel like
so small compared to them. Because they're unintentionally intimidating, because they're just such large people, and your brain can't comprehend that.
You're like, holy crap. And then you can see where you want to be 100%. And what it's going to take to get there. And like say your first time up there. And what a great experience.
Well, that was the whole thing. My whole goal was, because at regional level shows, you never know what you're competing up against. Sometimes you're competing against the very best the province has to offer. Sometimes you're competing against the people that are just trying it out. And so for me, it was the fact that, because I've always kind of questioned if I was a good bodybuilder. For the first couple of years, I never did very well. So I'd done well the year before to qualify. I had a 2nd and 3rd slot win. But then to go up against everyone who that previous year had qualified and see I was able to stand toe to toe with them, that was a huge thing for me to kind of reinforce in my head that, you know what, I'm on the right track. I'm making the right adjustments. I'm making the right growth, and I need to stay on this track. Right.
Time. Right. You've got to be patient. The stage is always there, and it's just waiting for you to get on there and not push it. Right. Like, you want to enjoy the journey. You don't want to struggle or end up hating it.
100%.
Right.
Well, that was the thing, because when my coach came to me and said, you're taking a year off, I was actually planning to ask him for a year off so I could get that exercise on.
Oh,
so we were completely in agreement with what should happen next. It wasn't like you have some coaches that tell you to take a year off and you're like, no, I don't want to. I want to compete again. Like in 6 months, I was like, yes, let's make use of a year. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I need this now.
Right. Yeah. And your body needs that time.
That was part of it. We pushed me really hard for about 2 to 3 years. And my coach was like, you need to just sit back for a little bit. Like, I'm like, okay, let's have a really good offseason. Let's put some size on me. He's like, absolutely. But we will, because I went from basically a low end bodybuilder to a top 3 slot.
Right.
And so that was a lot
in
2 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you put your body through a lot just getting to that level.
Physically, mentally, it's a lot. And then like right before I competed in 2022, I just started my own private gym and business. So I basically was coming off that right into competition and then trying to like train clients, stuff like that while I'm working out and dieting and prep and everything. And he's like, yeah, you can use a little break. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
It's a lot. Yeah. Good for you though for powering through and getting there.
I appreciate that.
That's huge. So if someone comes to you and they're talking like, oh, maybe I'll try that, right? What piece of advice would you give them? Like, what do you feel is something that'll benefit them, or even giving like that ounce of information that they're unsure of? What's the best piece of advice?
The number one I would say is go watch a show. If you've never seen a show, and I think that's a really overused rule, but it's a good one. You need to see what's to be expected, what to look like, and then if you can talk to someone who's been through it, ask the questions, because it's really hard to comprehend how hard it's going to be. There's a reason it's known as the hardest sport in the world, because it's not just one game day. It's basically like usually 3 months of extreme grind, extreme discipline, everything like that. And you have to question, are you going to be disciplined now? Like I'm someone that, like, the second my coach's prep is starting, I don't miss food. I don't think of anything else. I am just go. But that's a really hard mindset. And if you're not someone who is already regularly training and already sort of like, I wouldn't say you have to be really strict on your diet early on. You have to be at least nutrition focused to a certain extent, like trying to increase your protein intake, really watch your what you eat and stuff like that. Because I know a lot of people, they don't really ever start a true diet until they try to stay under prep. And I feel like as long as you're aware, like, that your food's gonna have to change, and you can't have the things you want every day, then I think you're in the right track. And as long as you have that time to like commit to the training and have been training for a while.
Yeah, because absolutely, it's mentally be prepared for that too. Like, are you prepared to stick to the process and that? And people fall off the wagon, and that
happens to everybody. We're human.
And don't beat yourself up over it, and don't think you can't do it. Just get back on and continue on.
Exactly.
Right.
There's a metaphor I love. It's let's say you're talking on the phone and you drop it. What do you do next?
Oh, there you go. Pick it up and carry on.
Exactly.
That's fabulous. I've never heard that.
And they respond with, "Oh, you don't kick it under the fridge." So that means if you screw up on your diet in the afternoon, it doesn't mean you have to throw your day away or simply your week away. Okay, you screwed up on your diet for your lunch. Go have the dinner you're supposed to have. Don't try and make all these changes. Just get back on track.
Yeah. Because I've heard that too before, where they're like, oh, and then they'll just go hard on some cardio to try and wear that off, right? And it's
hours of cardio, they'll cut carbs the next 4 days, so they're just suffering more, and it causes your hormones to get off, and your ghrelins up, and then you're gonna want to binge even more, and it just So that's great. Like, just pick it up and carry on. The whole thing is like, one good meal isn't gonna make you fit, and one bad meal isn't gonna make you fat either.
Right. And that's hard. That's really hard for some people to get that mindset. Right.
Don't get me wrong, I didn't always have it, so I understand. That's the nice thing, because I started at like 0. I've seen a lot of the struggles that most people go through on their way up through like the health and fitness regime, and so I understand it. Like, a lot of my clients, like, what's the part's hard? Like, I know it's hard because I've been there. I had to do this. I was not a healthy person. I was not protein focused. It's actually hilarious. Today on my Facebook memories, I found a memory of 12 years ago, and it said, oh, I finally become one of those guys I hate. I bought a giant tub of protein powder. And I laughed because like, oh, if I go back in time, little did I know that was the start. That was nothing.
What a great reminder though, right?
Yeah. I love that I made that post. I remember
Yeah.
I was still living in the city I went to college in, and I was just trying to like dabble in fitness. I remember buying it was a strawberry cup Isoflex, a big 5 pound.
Oh, yeah.
Man, I'm ridiculous for buying this. I don't want to know how many tubs I've had since then because I don't want to know.
Oh yeah, it becomes like on your regular grocery list.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. And what a great thing. What a just great reminder.
Yeah.
To come up on your memories and think, oh, yeah, way back then, right?
Especially like say like being in the Golden Burger Cup.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like watching the show and I'm like
sitting in your little booth with all the protein powders.
Yeah. It's like, oh, little did I know. Because back then, even the thought that I would have worked in a supplement store, I did that for 8 years straight, pretty much.
Oh.
That seemed unfathomable.
Yeah. So when you started this journey, did you ever envision yourself to where you are today?
No, never. I like literally when I first got into fitness, the idea was lose a little bit of weight to in my gut so I'd be more confident talking to the opposite sex. That was a lot of it. And it just spiraled. And I think this come before, it's to the point where like I don't even like see my physique as I don't have the correlation of like, oh, I'm like lean and big, I look really good. I go, okay, this is what the judges want to see. So I don't. It's not even a vanity thing for me. People like, you look in the mirror sometimes, like, because I'm thinking about what do I need to work on, what are my weaknesses. It's never a me peacocking.
Oh, look at me, right?
It's never me peacocking attracting the opposite sex. It's what do I need to work on because I love it so much. I want to try and perfect it. I want to get better and better and better. And I'm not gonna say it's like an obsessive level, but I do really enjoy it. I like seeing the progress change. And one of the things I love about like the on season, off season is just getting to watch those changes happen, putting the time in to put on the size, but then stripping it down and seeing the difference that made underneath all that.
Yeah, and I get that now too. But because when I first started at the gym, and then you see the side, you see them or people working out and them flexing and looking, and they're like, oh, really? Right?
They seem to hold themselves.
Yeah, and it's not like that at all. It's like. Even with myself, I'll get, oh, there's a new muscle.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, right? And you're just checking, and then you're admiring, like, oh, I built it, like I can see this now, so let's build it more, and let's get, more defined or whatever. And
that new vein pops up.
And it's like,
look, look at the progress I made.
Absolutely, and be proud. Absolutely, like you worked hard for that.
Well, sorry, I speak in quotes. I have a lot of them.
They're great. I love them.
It's the whole idea where it's like, if you worked hard to buy a Ferrari, you wouldn't keep it locked up in your garage. So there should be nothing wrong with working hard for a physique. I'm not saying like show off to everybody. But you shouldn't ever feel ashamed to want to wear a tank top somewhere or something like that.
Be proud.
Yeah, and like I will admit like I definitely get some weird stares sometimes, which are uncomfortable. And it's not so much like people like it's more of a confused gawk because I come from a city called Medicine Hat, and it's a fair sized city, has a very small town feel, and there's not a lot of people like national level competitors in that city, and especially not males. There's I think about 2 of us that compete national level. If I'm wrong with that, I apologize. There are some other bodybuilders. There's some females that compete national level, but not many like heavy, super heavyweight bodybuilders walking around. So I do understand, like, I know the first time I ever saw one, I was like, what is that thing? We have those here? So I do understand it, and it just throws people off. But like, it can be uncomfortable at times. And people are always like, oh yeah, I bet you love people looking at me. I'm like, I really don't.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
It makes me, it's weird.
Yeah. Be proud of what you built in that time. So how long has it taken you from, say, start of your weight loss journey to now? How many years has that been?
So I would have started around 2011.
Okay.
But I will admit there was a layover for a while. I competed in 2016.
Okay.
That was the first time I had a national buy-in. But instead of using it, I decided to retire
Oh.
because coach I had at the time, he cut me down very, very lean. And being 6'1", I was like, I'm way too lean to be competitive at my height.
Right.
So I said, I'm going to retire and I am going to train. And so I was 26 at the time. And I said, I will compete again when I turn 30.
Okay.
So I said, I compete again in 2020. So I kind of like stepped back from the gym and I kind of like wasn't taking my trainings very seriously. I got fat.
Oh.
And I mean fat. So I have a picture on my Instagram where it's like the fat to fit.
Okay.
Because I competed and in 2016, I competed 207 pounds. 13 months later, I was 302 pounds and not in any good way. This was before legalization. I hope I said I got a prescription for medical marijuana and I had never touched it before and didn't know how real the munchies was. So, and I wasn't focused on my diet. I wasn't controlling. I was just doing whatever. I was in a very toxic relationship at the time, which made things way worse. And then when I hit about 28, I'm like, you know what? I made a promise to myself I'd compete one more time at 30. So I may as well, get my head on a little bit. Started dropping weight, left the toxic relationship, which was a benefit in the long run, and then got back on stage at 30. And I was a good over 20 pounds heavier on stage that time. And so I competed and people asked me, okay, that's your one and done, right? And a lot of people say when you're 30, that my sister's friends were terrible for it. Oh, you're turning 30, you're getting old. All I could think of was, I'm just getting started again. Yeah. So that I did that show, it didn't go well just because it was during 2020 and a lot of it didn't go right. So that show was they pulled off the show, but there were a lot of struggles because of political issues we had. But then so I went from that, took the next year off only because I was worried about everything that was going to happen past that. But I took time, opened my business, got back on stage in 2022, and it's just been like go, go, go since then.
Nice. Nice. That's fabulous. Wow. Yeah. That's a big accomplishment. Absolutely. Like you say, you were fit and then you went off the wagon and gained, and then you got back to being fit, and now you're just healthy and striving and going forward. So congratulations to that. That's great, because sometimes even when you fall down that hole, you end up staying down that hole, right?
Exactly. Never get back up. So and the same thing, like I have clients that come to me that have trained with me for a while, and like, I'm gonna go do it myself. Take care of I wish you all the best. If you need help, I'm here for you. And I've had some that come back to me years later, and they're like, I'm embarrassed. I fell off the wagon. I'm worse shape than I first came inside you. And I'm like, I've been there. Yeah. I get it. Yeah. Let's get you back to where you feel happy and confident and healthy. And I think the fact that I can really show my clients I've done this. Yeah. Not just the fact that the fat just fits one thing, because I know a lot of trainers can't always correlate that much. But the fact that you're right, the fact that I did it there and back so many times, it's a different level of understanding where it's like I've fallen to complete rock bottom, bad depression, alien my physique again. Back to, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished. Good for you. That's fabulous. So on that note, I want to thank you for coming and being a guest on my podcast. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm excited to watch where you go from here. I appreciate that. Super excited. So thank you very much. Can I do one quick little personal shout out? You absolutely can. If anybody's looking to track me down and see more of my story, if you search the name Hebrew Hulk, you'll come across my Instagram, my YouTube, and then HebrewHulkFitness.com is my website for training clients. Perfect. Thank you.
I want to thank my guest today and my listeners for joining me at Beyond the Prep. If you like this episode and want to make sure you don't miss any others, please subscribe. You can also find us on YouTube.